Howdy, 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 everybody out there. How you doing? How you doing? So, you know, what kind of craziness is going on? The whole world, of course, is talking about the last incident with Mr. T and the whole debacle with, some people are thinking this thing is totally real. Some people are thinking, you know, uh, something was screwy about it. And, you know, as I go and look at this, I think something was totally screwy. Now, whether T-Man was in on it or not, that I don't know. But I do find something a little strange about the whole thing. In fact, as most of us do, we find something a little bit strange about everything anymore, from the Millennial Kingdom to uh, this mud flood to the weird buildings to energy sources that seem to used to exist. Um, the whole Tartaria, the possibility of buildings in the United States actually being here, you know, maybe before Christopher Columbus time. Uh, this everything is in question now. It's gotten so weird. It's gotten so weird trying to figure out history. Once you go down this rabbit hole, it's hard to figure out where it's going to take you. So, I don't know about you, but I'm in this place where I'm having to use what common sense I have to rationalize myself through the events that are taking place nowadays, going all the way back in time as to, how old is things? Maybe the Middle Ages wasn't that far off. Maybe, the reign of Christ was a rather recent time ago. Some kind of craziness took place, a cataclysm, a mud flood or something. The few people that existed or crawled out of holes or whatever, they took over, and the evil was released again. These people took control, and they're like, hey, you know what? They've got some guidance from the dark side, and they started taking back control of everything to try to, and Satan was released. So maybe he's trying to pick up where he left off, except only this time the world's a little bit different. And when I mean different is we just have different technology that, a lot got destroyed. I don't know. This is a bizarre concept, right? I can't prove it. You can't prove it. We just know something's wrong. We absolutely know something's wrong. Especially the history we got told when, all the buildings they said, XYZ existed. Herman Munster, Ben Franklin, Stein lived, 1800s. And, during this time, this type of technology existed, and they rode on wagons, and these buildings got built, and this is the first place this or that happened, and there's a plaque on the side of it. And then, in 2022, they had to dig up the roads to put a gas pipe down or something like that. And you're like, whoa, hang on a second. There's a plaque on the side of this building that says it was built at this time, but the building goes down 3 stories with windows, and the actual road and the door to this place is 35 feet below ground. What's going on? There's no pictures of it this time. All the history that said that this building was built when it was built, and the history around it, and the stories about Ben Finkelstein or whoever that did something famous, supposedly, lived in this building, and it's all can't be true. The, you know, the bizarre thing that I found, the people that were living in the late 1800s, they were alive, cowboy days, photographers and people like that or whoever, and they were in interviews. I guess it was early 40s or some very early 40s, and these people who were alive then were almost 100 years old, 98 years old, that sort of thing. And they'd ask them about, well, what was this like, and how did you travel here and there, and all this kind of stuff. And none of them I have listened to, if these interviews are real, none of them I have listened to ever mention this mud flood thing. The mud flood had to be the world's largest cataclysm in many years. Had to kill off crops, no food. Had to kill billions of people, maybe worldwide, because the flood took place worldwide. It's as if that's when Pangea took place, where or the separate. So we had Pangea, maybe one large island we all lived on here in the center part, and something happened and it broke up, and the breaking up and the drifting of the continents, things settled and it flooded. Whatever vibrations and stuff caused a mud flood to take place. I can't prove that, but everything's a theory at this point in time. I absolutely know that all the science I was taught all the way through university as a minor in science, and most of that was BS. So, everything's up in the air right now, so everything's up in the air. You tell me, you leave a comment, tell me what's going on. It seems like the tectonic plates are still moving and vibrating. I mean, you can go back right now and find maps, recent maps. I'm talking about late 1600s, early 1700s. California was an island. There was a large span of water that separated California from the coast. So you tell me, I mean, you think things absolutely have changed quite a bit. So we live in this confusing time. That is obvious right now. Trying to pin down what's going on from current history to the situation that's going on in politics in America. It's literally operating, what they call it is fifth generational warfare. It's totally different. It's not kinetic, where you're fighting hand to hand and stuff like that. It's all psychological and theatrics now, where anything goes on both sides. Anything goes. Hard to figure out. I welcome your input. I welcome your input to fill other people in. Not regurgitated information you've heard, but things you've actually found out to be true. I welcome that, because I like to learn. Been trying to figure this out for since 9/11. I've been trying to figure all this out, and I have learned quite a bit since then, and not everybody's wanted to hear it. It's like the Matrix, the line in the Matrix where it's talking about these people are hopelessly enamored with the whole Matrix itself, and trying to wake them up too quick. You take away their sense of ego and pride, even if it's their knowledge of negative things. If you try to wake them up to it too quick, like telling people about the whole "don't get this," and they're very proud of their trust in the medical system and their knowledge of stuff they got at the university, or they got their nursing degree or their doctorate degree or whatever, and they're very entrenched in that. And you telling them not to believe a certain thing makes them is going to remove their ego, so they don't want to hear it. So here we are with the situations that are going on. Very strange, hard to figure out. But the people who are on the inside, a lot of these people I follow who worked in these situations, military people that worked in PSYOP stuff, they are all leaning that it's fifth generational warfare. And we're looking at a lot of PSYOPs, and it's on both sides, because once, in the Bible, when you read, it says, "Suffer not a witch to live," which means that witchcraft is a multifaceted thing that most people don't know about. They think it's, why Disney was created, to make it seem like a cartoon. But witchcraft has to do with deceiving people through multiple levels. And you're talking about high level intellectual witchcraft. And they deceive people through theatrics, through words, through spelling, and unless you know how they do it, it can create a situation where everything falls apart and you can't trust anyone anymore. And this is the situation we've got into with the whole District of Columbia reaching in and running our lives, because this whole the District of Columbia and the United States Corporation has been taken over by the banking clans. And the banking clans have a whole different belief system about themselves, that they believe you are not fully human. And when I say that, this is by their own words. They believe you're a creation of God, but not a child of God. And that's a polite way of saying that you're some kind of lesser being, like cattle, like slaves, or somebody who could be used for whatever means possible. I'm not making this up. This is what I have actually heard them teach and say how they feel about. And so if it's obvious, if you look at the medical system, right? Take a look at the medical system. How is the current medical system being handled? Is it being looked at as to, you go into the doctor and the doctor looks, what's causing you to get sick? Do they look at that? No, they don't look at what causes you to get sick. They look at, what can I give you to maintain your illness? They're not looking to heal you, correct? That's right. So the people running the medical system, who have set up things to where you have to wait, what, 6, 10 months before you can get an appointment with a specialist to get healed, or not healed, but just to get seen, so they can send you to get some x-rays or something. And the way that, let's say you have Alzheimer's and you go into see the doctor to try to find some way to get healed or get yourself better. They're not looking to get you better. They're looking at what kind of pharmaceuticals they can place you on until you pass away. And there's a lot of money that can be made on any kind of illness, but they give you no answer, nothing. They just absolutely no treatment, no actions to get better. If you go into the court system, let's say you're getting a divorce. Once you enter into that divorce court system, they don't realize that 50% of the population of America ends up in a divorce. And these divorces, once you end up in divorce court, half of the money and assets and property then ends up traveling through, or being handled through, the court systems. So they don't try to help you navigate through this. They're looking at making a profit off of you. And the same banking clans are controlling the court systems. So you have pharmaceuticals, you have the court systems controlling something not working right. You have the political systems, you have the policing systems. So you have all of these different programs going on that are now being controlled by the same banking clans. And as you take a look at it, you can see, hey, I'm not viewed within this as a human. I'm not being viewed by whoever is running this program. Somebody views me as a lesser human, or they're actually looking at doing evil to us. Take a look now at how the ATF and different organizations in the government, you'll have a perfectly legal piece of plastic, a bump stock or whatever, perfectly legal piece of plastic you might buy at the gun store. And then a few months later, some governor or different legislator gets in office and they'll pass a law saying it's no longer legal. Or you have to register or do something. And they'll already have certain people on a watch list for their political viewpoints or different things like that. If they don't register fast enough, then they'll send a SWAT team at 3 a.m. to kick your door down and try to arrest you. And some people end up getting shot. This is not a system run with the best interest of the people at hand, correct? It is run by the banking clans who want to get the guns away from you so they can control all things. Now, I say this as I get on to a lot of topics talking, and some of you haven't delved that deep down the rabbit hole, but I've had 20 years now going down this rabbit hole and uncovering things so that I understand what's going on. I know a lot of you understand what's going on, but it's muddied up by a lot of things if when you're still trying to live in the matrix. So the first thing I'm going to tell you, here's what I got. I can no longer, everyone who's tried to talk about this information on YouTube, and they get kicked off. So I have to dance around so many subjects in order to try to get information out. And I know a lot of you seek out information too, and you learn little bits here and there, and it's awesome. But what I've had to do is sell my book on the side. That's called Reason to Believe. I've had to put the information in there and get it out to the public because you can't mention it, especially during this administration. You can't mention the information that tells people the truth that would help them to wake up. It's terrible. But that's the point we've reached now in this weird fifth generational warfare stuff. And, so the stuff that went on the other day with Mr. T, and we were watching on television and all the weird stuff with the Secret Service, and you're like, I'm not even a Secret Service agent. I don't understand, why weren't these people there? What's up with this like overweight looking woman who chewing gum and pulls her gun and she can't even get it back in the holster? And you're thinking, a Secret Service, they practice pulling their gun out and shooting and putting their gun back tens of thousands of times. They could do it in their sleep. They could stand on one hand and put their gun back in their holster. And supposedly this woman can't get her gun even back in the holster. And you're thinking, is this person really a Secret Service agent? It's really weird. So, you've got both sides of the story when it comes to that, where supposedly Biden has appointed some woke head of Secret Service, and she's just kind of sticking people in the office, sticking people in positions. But man, they're guarding the president. What is going on with this kind of stuff? So it leads me to wonder whether some of these people stuck there that day weren't crisis actors, an actor, somebody who wasn't really Secret Service. These events are really weird. I can't say too much more about it. I mean, they kicked most of the big names off of this platform. And I've tried to go on other platforms. You just don't get a whole lot of views over there as much. So I want to stay on this one so I can keep reaching you guys. But anyway, I won't keep you forever today as we're talking about this, but you can leave your comments of what you think happened with this last event with the T show, and whether that really went down legit or whether it was theater to kind of put the Dems in a position where now they have to comply. They have to, they can no longer continue their campaign or it'll look like just absolute buttholes, So it was theater staged, fifth generational warfare as a counter move. I don't know. I'm leaning towards that direction. But, once you start going down that path, though, where you start doing that stuff, then, you might gain control, but then you're going to lose, the next thing that comes along, you might lose people's confidence in whether this thing's actually real or not. That's why when the Bible said, suffer not a witch to live, you had to clear out witchcraft and lies, deception, and this type of behavior from the government. So let's hope after this next election, this is what we see happen. But until we clear the banking class, that's, the banking class out of DC and revamp the laws, take back control of everything, uh, we're going to still continue. Doesn't matter what president takes place. I'll give you an example. When Trump was in office towards the end and COVID was coming along, and he was saying, no, we're not going to shut this down. No, we're not going to make masks in the schools. There was his czar, the person, I forget her name now, the person positioned to run the whole program. She was going behind his back and forcing the states and local municipalities and places like that to do these lockdowns and masks and things that went against and were caused. She is really, like, everybody puts the focus on Fauci, and okay, he was a big a-hole and a huge problem, and everybody's figuring out what happened with him, but they don't know about this woman who was the real one that caused all the commerce for your businesses to shut down. She forced all this stuff to happen behind his back, and it destroyed our economy. You know, the truckers and all this. So all those businesses you used to go to that are all empty now, that was her fault, and nobody talks about her. It's so weird. It's all on Fauci, and it should be on him, but nobody's talking about her. She's off somewhere sipping a martini on the beach or something. But anyway, what I'm saying is, if you get, even if T-Man gets back in office, if you don't get the banking clan out, the mafia will still control everything. They'll control our courts, and you know what? Trump's only going to get another 4 years. What are we going to do after that? When the opportunity arises, you have to get the banking clan out. You have to get this mafia out, clean up the court systems, maybe get rid of this is going to crush a lot of people. Get rid of the policing system and replace it with constitutional elected sheriffs. So you can just keep the police precincts, keep them all there, clean them out. You don't need a fraternal order of anyone running policing your towns, unanswerable to you. Now answering a lot to the federal government for things. You need a constitutional elected sheriff who you can get rid of if you want, and a policing system that's sheriffs in your town. I mean, that's the way things were supposed to be. That way you can keep the federal government out, you know, and you can keep all of the stormtroopers out and keep your towns protected, but keep them working under the common law and stuff. So we need all of this stuff. Should Trump get back into office, then we need these things to take place where you literally have we the people taking back control constitutionally of our state and federal places. In fact, I heard the other, where I live, I can't tell you where, but right now for the sake of this, so our sheriff retired early. I don't know whether he was forced out or what happened. The sheriff retired early. And so by law, the court system has to hold an election so the people can vote in a new sheriff. That's the law, and it just makes sense, right? You know, because that's how sheriffs should get into office, is they're elected. Instead, the local judges got together and they appointed a sheriff. So it gets worse than that. So one of the guys that was going to run for sheriff said, hey, hang on a second here. This is not only unconstitutional, it's breaking the law. So he goes to appeal to the grand jury. And, you know, that's what the grand jury is there for, so that we can go appeal and have a grievance in case the court system gets corrupted. He shows up to do his filings and appeal, and the sheriff's deputies that are there now surround him and arrest him. He hasn't broken any laws. He's doing what is lawfully allowed to do, and the judge left and didn't come back out of the chambers, and this guy gets arrested. this is the state that we're in now. And even if we get the person we want elected, if we, the people, don't realize this is taking place, they'll just wait it out of 4 years and maintain control. So this is the types of things. This is the types of things we need to understand, that it is up to us to carry out and pressure, if we can get control with this next election, to clean house of all of these things. Clean up your local, you want your school systems back. So many people have their kids now in private school because the school system is so horrible. They can't take it anymore. And so we want our school systems back. We want our kids educated on history, if we can figure out what real history is. But we want them taught things to match other countries, because we went from, literally, we were, one of the top countries in the world in education, and now we're basically like a third world country in our education systems. While China is learning how to count, as the kids are learning how to count as fast as a calculator, our kids are learning about trying to figure out what kind of sex they are. It's really a slap in the face. That's another ideology where you can tell that whoever got in control set these evil things up on purpose, right? It's not an accident. They have set this up on purpose to dumb down and weaken the country so it's more easy for them to control. It's the same thing with bringing in all of these illegal aliens from across the border. Look at it's all Christian countries, right? England, Spain, America, Canada, where someone's paying, right? Have you thought about it? How hard is it to track down where the funds come from? Who's paying for all these people to get here? Someone's paying for it. So think about that. So I'm not going to keep you too long today. That's probably long enough for this video. Leave some comments about who you believe is behind all of this. And maybe your comments will help wake up people to something they're asleep about. If you really, really want to get to know everything that's going on and figure this out like a formula, then I have a link in the description, and you can get my book, Reason to Believe, and it will really wake you up. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. Talk to you soon.